Hi, welcome to CW Shop Talk here at the Crystal One. We've got Christine back with us today. We're going to discuss Halloween, how it began, why it began, what it comes from, and where is it going. Um, she's done a lot of extensive research on the history of it, more than mine, so I'm going to let her start the conversation talking about some of the basic history of Halloween. Go ahead.
Yes, it's trying to keep it simple and basic, like you said, because I could probably go on forever. And this is also what we know about ancient times is based on evidence that's, somewhat controversial here and there. There's a lot of archaeological evidence, story that's been passed on over the years, but essentially, much thought is that Halloween comes after or as sort of a progeny, if you will, with the ancestor of this ancient Celtic pagan, if you want to call it that nowadays, celebration of Samhain, which is a time of the year that they actually celebrated as their new year because the sun was the lowest at their point of horizon that it was all year round in Britain and Ireland specifically. So the Celtic areas there. And during Samhain, they would celebrate and honor ancestors, and they would also celebrate and honor the horned god who was coming in. The idea of the horn god in folklore there was that he was coming in to take over for essentially the darker half of the year. And so at that time, it was also their third harvest, where they slaughtered all of the animals that would help to sustain them, give them food throughout the cold, harsh winter months. So that's basically what's happening at the time. But part of the folklore around it was that in ancient times, pre these ancient people who are practicing this and living within these ideas and folklore, there was a god named Dagda who was trying to help the Tuatha De Danann, which were essentially the fairy race, became the fairy race of people in Ireland. He was trying to help them beat their rivals, the people or the beings they were trying to beat out in this ancient battle, the Fomorians. So Dagda goes down into the underworld and he finds Morrigan there. She is the goddess of death and she's the goddess of war. And Dagda says, I need your help to beat these Fomorians, the Tuatha De Danann. They need to come out victorious. So she, Morrigan, and Dagda, they mate right at the river, right at that boundary between this world and the underworld. And so the legend has it that that mating and that connection between Dagda and Morrigan or the Morgan basically allowed this world to penetrate into the underworld. And it happened on October 31st every year. And so basically, in Celtic times, they celebrated from sunset on October 31st to sunset on November 1st. They would honor ancestors. They would set supper out for their ancestors to come feast. They would put lights out at their homes, candle lights to allow their ancestors to see their way there, and then also on November 1st to see their way back out. And it was a time of great psychic power, of great ability to divine what was coming in the next year. So that's a nutshell. How'd I do for keeping it short?
Well, that was good. That was good because that was essentially what I had too. But you express it so much better than I do. I get too tongue tied. When I was reading up, and it was essentially they were saying how we got to be Halloween is also back in the 2,000 years ago or whenever. Yeah, it was around then when the Catholic Church came into being, and they started co-opting all the pagan holidays they're trying to convert the pagans, can't get these pagans away from their holiday celebrations. So they started co-opting them, stealing them, and renaming them and making them their own. And Halloween, which like you said was so on, they had called Halloween was for All Hallows Eve. They took All Saints Day and All Souls Day, which they had originally positioned in May sometime in the calendar year, to get these pagans to stop all this fire lighting and running around ghosties. They put it on that day instead. They took over October 31st. Well, actually, that was All Hallows Eve in preparation for All Saints Day, which is November 1st, and followed by All Souls Day. And of course, it worked to an extent, but we still have Halloween. And then during the Middle Ages, I had read that the kids would go around because it was just a throwback from the religions always get mixed together. And they used to go around and offer to pray. If it's All Souls, All Hallows Eve was the day you're getting ready to pray for the dead spirits for an All Souls Day. The children would go out throughout the towns or the villages and offer to pray for your departed souls. And in return, you gave them something they called soul cakes. They would make little cakes with a cross on them because, they're Christians. And, or they'd give them dried fruit or some other little sweet treat. So you had all these kids running around begging for sweeties and they'll pray for you. In essence, that's a really quick zeroing it down, not really technically correct, but
So now the kids dress up as ghouly things.
yeah, well, that's just it. Then the kids, they used to dress them up. Well, what they used to do is they would paint the Celts did. They would paint their faces, or they would make homemade mask of types, the primitive mask to scare away the evil spirits, because everybody believed in evil spirits back then, because the evil spirits were what going to get you. That was what was making you sick, or or hurting your corn crops or whatever they had, and everything was evil spirits or evil humors, And the fairies were out there doing devilish things. You couldn't. They were mischievous. They were always pulling tricks on mankind and harming people. So they would dress up to either scare them off, or they would paint their faces so that they wouldn't recognize them as who they were in real life, so that they couldn't come back on them. And this was what you did to keep the evil spirits and the fairies away. You were trying to confuse them more or less.
So that feels like that probably
That's
happened at some point in the transition from
Yeah, that was like around that time is like the Celts were doing this during their celebrations and becoming Christians, and then
that piece where they started to meld.
yeah, everything gets so, like you say, historically they have so many things, so many different parts too. I mean, England would be doing one thing, Ireland something else. Somehow or other they got the Guy Fawkes Day in there, because where they had the demonstrations where they were burning everything because they wanted to destroy Parliament or something. I mean, that was around there too, and that's when people start going wild that time of year. It's like around Halloween. You got Guy Fawkes Day. You got this. You got that. They're starting fires, not just bonfires to energize the season. They're burning things down, and then people are just using it as any excuse. It's a good excuse to go out and run around like a wild person, dress up, create chaos, wear masks.
I saw a quote from it was Lori Cabot, who is a Salem witch, and she said something like, "Look at Halloween and all of the crazy stuff that happens then. Is there any better example or proof that we create things with our mind?" Essentially, nowadays, where we all have this idea of all the crazy stuff, the evil things happen on Halloween, so basically we make it happen. That's what we were kind of chatting about a little bit before too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, over the years, everything, like I said, has been twisted, and they were going rampant, and things were getting out of hand. It wasn't, and that was all through like the Middle Age. Well, not the Middle Ages so much as probably Renaissance times up to 2000 or 1900 and the 1860s and stuff. That's when they started to try to rein it in. The towns, businesses, and local governments started having Halloween parties for the children because they wanted to get these monsters off the street, to make them stop starting, because they said they used to really do a lot of vandalism, a lot of fires, and knocking over outhouses, and they would just do anything malicious because it's kind of like they all went wild. And so to make them stop, they started having little parades in towns, and they started handing out candy and having parties to keep the kids together so they wouldn't be out
wreaking havoc.
Yeah, that's it exactly. It was really weird. And then by the time the depression came along, of course everybody's broken, but they were consolidating it even more at that point into the parties to keep the kids straight. And then by the 50s, that's when the candy companies decided, because that's when they were found out they were selling lots of candies around Halloween. Well, that's when they decided, wait, why don't we make little candy bars instead of the big ones and sell them in bags just for? So by 1950, the candy companies had jumped on the bandwagon and started advertising, buy a bag of treats to give to the little ghoulies that come to your house. And that's where we got our current model of trick or treating on Halloween,
Hmm.
and the thousands of bags of candy you'll see at Walmart or the grocery store every time you walk in from September on, because they figured they could make a fortune off of this, and they have.
Absolutely. But if you wanted to ask yourself, what can I do now with this idea, the ancient idea or concept that the veil is thin and that this is a very
Well,
psychic
that's just
time?
it. It's really started out as a spiritual time.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So if you want to, you can both have your fun and really take part in the spiritual. I hesitate to say sanctity, but there's potency. There's potency in this time. So one way is to honor the ancestors for sure. So you can visit graves, you can kind of tune in with the candlelight and intentionally honor whether it's your actual family line who have passed or spiritual ancestry, however you want to look at it. But you can also tune in to the tremendous psychic power that exists. You can do this if you like to read tarot, if you like to divine with runes, any form of divination is going to be really powerful for you at this time. You can also go into a meditation or a prayer, however you like to view that, and ask yourself as some sort of a question. Let's say there's something that's really been on your mind and you can't really figure out what's left or right about it, how to answer this question that's been in there for you. You can tune in, do this sort of shamanic journeying, if you will, or just tune in with that question in your mind and you're going to find it a lot easier to get to that point of finding an answer for yourself, or at least to having an experience in that inner realm.
Well, you had said too, because the sun's in Scorpio
Right.
this time of year, and
Exactly.
Scorpio rules all these subjects.
And Scorpio is also the sign of the rising phoenix, essentially. So, in addition to it being highly psychic, and thank you for saying that because that reminded me to say
Yeah.
that part, it's also a very transformative time. So, you can consider for yourself, what do I not need that I can see revealed to me now and I can cut off and leave behind so I can continue on this transformative spiral for myself. So, it's
Well,
highly
yeah,
potent.
because it's ruled by Scorpio. Well, now Scorpio is ruled by Pluto now,
Hmm.
since they discovered it, and that
And
is regeneration.
right, exactly.
It is a perfect time. It's like for years, and I mean years, I've always had Halloween parties because I just get off on the whole party game. But at the end of the night, or on the years I didn't have a party, there were a few. I uh, I used to have what I called the Hall of the Dead. It was this apartment I had. It was like this place. It was like an old building, and it had this long stairwell going up that I would walk through. I had painted it all, faux painted it, so it was sort of like clouds and blues, and just I called it my stairway to heaven. And all along the sides, I had all the pictures of all my dead family members and friends as they passed away. I just had pictures of everybody dead going up and down this stairwell, and I had angels going across an angel border at the top. And every Halloween, I used to like to just take a glass of wine, light a candle. I'd go sit at the top of the steps and talk to all my dead people, one by one. By God, it got to be old. It took forever because I had so many of them. But I would, at least one time a year, I would sit down and converse with my aunts and uncles and grandparents and friends and
Amazing.
wish them happy Halloween. I mean, that's just, yeah, everybody can do their own thing. That was just
Right.
always my little ritual. If I wasn't out partying, I was doing this. And then if I did party, I would do it that day, night instead, you know.
Yeah.
Parties were usually Saturday night, so you never.
You could do it the next day for
Yeah,
sure.
it's like if it was really Halloween, then I could do it because
Hmm.
Halloween fell on a Monday or Tuesday or any other night, but Saturday night, that was.
Yeah, so just a reminder, just that piece, it's really beautiful to honor your ancestors. I hadn't thought of it to say until just now, but if you have some sort of a, whether you want to call it a shrine or an altar or a stairway to heaven,
Yeah.
you can just put out pictures or mementos if it's not a permanent thing on stairway to heaven.
Well, no Stairway to Heaven wasn't the
Okay.
Rolling Stones, you know. I just called it my Stairway
Stairway
to
to
Heaven,
heaven,
but
yeah.
yeah,
So you could just have any kind of thing that is, it doesn't have to be intense, but if you put out a couple pictures of some ancestors
yeah,
of
you could,
yours.
yeah, just the people that you miss. It's always good. You feel like you're connecting with them. Even they've never talked back to me, but I just felt like, well, if there's ever a time they're going to hear me now.
Mhm. Absolutely, yeah. And they can assist you in so ways. Just like if you consider yourself as working with any guides, whether, whether it's God or whether you have different guides of any sort of pantheon or religion that you are a part of or follow, your ancestors can speak to you in a similar way and can affect you very subtly just by you connecting in with them. So I bet they have been rooting for you all along.
Oh, I don't doubt. I mean, I don't know. I stopped doing that when I moved to the next house because everybody thought I was a little crazy. And I thought, but I'm thinking now that I'm getting ready to move to another house, I'm probably going to have to find a little dead room. I'm going to have something because I miss my dead people. I like my dead people.
Yeah, give them a shrine.
I guess it is. Well, you know how families have family photos everywhere, the people living. And that's what I kept thinking. I don't have any live people. I always have the dead people. I should have something with the live people. But I miss not having my dead people all in one place. So wherever I'm going to do something somewhere, even if it's just a wall. But I will put all my dead people back up. So I don't want them to feel like they're totally forgotten.
Yeah, I wonder if life will be easier for you when you start to do that.
Well, I don't feel like I'm sure it doesn't matter to them. They're already in spirit. But I think it's just nice to be remembered.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah.
And also for Halloween here at the shop, that's what we got to do. We celebrate Halloween all month long. We've got the decorations up. I'm going to try to get a little video and show you some of them because I'm proud of them. It's not as crazy as the other place was because this place is nicer and we can't mess it up like we did the other one. But we've got out as much crap as we can, with the witch flying and ghouls here and there. And we're going to be doing things. I'll probably have a sale by the end of the month. We'll be giving away, our treat bags. I'm not doing it all month. I haven't got time to sit there and make all those little bags. But we give out little treat bags with every sale. And of course, Christine's going to be here doing readings. So if you want to do readings, especially Halloween week and weekend, you might want to call in advance and make an appointment because that time of the year we're usually pretty crazy busy.
With good reason. It's the time of the year that
Yeah, everybody's out.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a reading. I know Lisa already said she's going to be out one of those weeks, the third week, because she's got to go out of town.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be the only one here that week. So it's like you might want to call in ahead. And please, if you do make an appointment for a reading and something happens and you can't make it, I don't care if it's 10 minutes to the time, call us and tell us.
It's helpful.
Yeah, because otherwise we're sitting there. We've got people coming in asking to make appointments, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we're all booked up. And then she's sitting up here, or Lisa's sitting up here, and then you're waiting and waiting, and nobody shows. And it's like these people could have had a reading, and it's not fair to them, nor to the person waiting for you. So just give us a call. Say something came up. We don't care. You don't have to give us an excuse. Just let us know you're not coming, and we'll say, okay, thank you, and take your name off the list. That way, if somebody else walks in and says, can I get one? We can say, sure. We just got an opening. Anyway, we're going to be having that. And I don't know, anything else we should do for Halloween? We're probably going to stay open a little later on Halloween day. Not real late. I'll come up with hours better later. But since it's on the weekend, it's on a Sunday this year. We'll probably stay till 5 or so because it's hard to go down the road in the dark. Everybody's got to drive now. Um, and I don't know what the sales are going to be yet either, so I can't talk about that. But we'll be putting something on sale. We always do. Okay, anything else you want to talk about for Halloween or?
I would just say that if you guys want to try scrying or tarot or runes or anything like that for yourselves, it would be a really neat time to start doing that because you'll be really able to tap into that psychic component of yourself because we all have that in us. So use this time, use this energy, this time of year. It'll be really powerful for
And
you.
the runes too. I would think runes were more one of the divination forms they had back in the Celtic,
That's what
2,000
it's
years
thought.
ago. Because it was bones, it was stones that they would make their marks on and toss. Now what we have today are stones or resin. They're the cheap ones if you just want to practice. Uh, Runes with the Nordic runes, the Eldar Futar, and they come with instructions and all that. You can always get them here, sets of runes course, dozens of tarot cards, Lord knows.
You can also practice scrying in a pool of water under the
Oh,
moonlights.
yeah.
Or with a black mirror.
Black mirror, or if you get, like you said, a pool of water, it helps if you got a dark bowl. I don't know how many people. Yeah, or a cauldron or a black bowl. Is there a way you can do, most people don't have black bowls, let's face facts.
But so if you find a natural body of water, it's really helpful.
Oh, yeah. Looking into a stream with the
Mm-hmm.
moon around you, too, with the moon high. Helps.
Exactly, it does. It's just like the Lion King, right? When Simba looks in the water and he sees his dad in there, he's seeing all this stuff. The Lion King is showing you Simba being psychic. This is kind of cool. But you can also make a black mirror really easily by getting a piece of glass cut however you want it and painting the back of it black.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's literally what a black mirror is.
No, I mean, we have the black obsidian ones.
Yeah.
The thing with scrying is it's not that it's magic in itself, it's focusing your subconscious and allowing your subconscious to project the vision. That's all scrying really is. And it takes time and it takes meditation and it takes focus. It's not something everybody can do. It really isn't. That's why you use a crystal ball. You can use anything. I love the water thing though. If you could sit somewhere by a stream and just stare until that to me energizes you a little bit. The rhythm of the water, just the nature around you would help bring out any natural inclinations you might have for it.
And well, the rhythm of it, as you say, it energizes you, and it also helps you get into a bit of an altered state.
Yeah.
You you go from what you would call beta probably into alpha. Theta if you sit there forever, but your brain waves slow down a little bit. And that's where most, if you want to call it magic, but where all divination essentially is done is from that place of an altered state.
Well, that's where your meditations come
Exactly.
from. Meditation. It's just learning to control your brain, and it just takes practice.
But now is a great time to start.
Yeah, the earth and the stars are in alignment. Oh,
exactly. It's more accessible.
It should flow a little more easily. Well, that's it for Halloween talk today. We'll try again later with, I don't know, I've got to get Tracy back up here because we've got to talk about, she wanted to do charm bags next, I think. We did candles. We wanted to do the charm bags, get you some protection just in time for Halloween. Okay, till next time, we'll see you later. And don't forget, Christine's here several days a week.
Several days a week for readings.
Yeah, just give us a call, make an appointment. All right, thank you. Oh, happy Halloween! Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, how Sawan.
I say Samhain.
Samhain. Everybody says Samhain. I say Samhain. Yeah. Halloween. Bye bye.